All right, you're good.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach. Welcome to the Nintendo Dads kind of after show post discussion. We have the crew still here from Character Crunch, and we kind of want to talk about a little bit of the Apple event that recently occurred on Monday. Apple rolled out a little bit more of their formalized plan of the Apple Watch, some new MacBook Airs, some Apple TV stuff. So, we're geeks of just kind of the general knowledge of world, and we thought we'd spend some time here discussing our initial thoughts or impressions from the Apple event. So, let's start us off with actually Dave and Steve. Guys, what were your thoughts coming into this event? And I don't know, any takeaways for you that stood out?
Coming into this event, I wanted to hear that the Apple Watch that I wanted wasn't going to be outrageously expensive, and I wanted to hear that my nice little MacBook Air that I use for a soundboard during our show isn't going to be already obsolete. And I also was hoping for an Apple TV update that wasn't just lowering the price.
There, so you're batting zero.
I don't know if you guys saw my tweet to TMS and Twit, and as well as DTNS, where I said this is the worst Apple event I've ever watched. This is going to be the most cynical After Dark podcast I've ever been on already. I know, and I bet you guys are way more hyped than I am.
I don't know if I'd say I'm necessarily hyped. I would actually kind of agree with you in a lot of things there, Dave. I felt like, I was listening to CNET, and one of the reporters was CNET as they were kind of doing their live stream said it felt like Tim Cook and the crew was doing, trying with a capital T. To really sell us on a product that I don't necessarily know they did a good enough job selling. I think to your point, the Apple Watch, we all knew it was going to be sort of expensive, right? We all had an idea. Tim told us this back in September when he said entry point of $350 for the Sport Edition, and obviously the $350 at that point was kind of the smaller of the version, or if you want to, we can call it the lady size. Send your angry lady tweets to me at Masson23. One of these days I'm going to use like Zach's handle for that, so he gets angry tweets. We all knew the price was going to be a little bit.
The difference of 4 millimeters between the two sizes, that's not a big difference.
Apparently 4 millimeters is all it takes.
But on your wrist, though,
it's huge on your wrist. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's on your wrist. It's huge.
So we know that 4 millimeters is $50. Thank you very much.
It's always been that way. But look, I don't care about the Apple Sport Watch. Like, if we're going to get into the editions, I don't care that one's made of aluminum. All I wanted was that nice metal band because I want it to look nice on my wrist. Because if I'm going to buy a fancy Apple Watch, I want it to look cool. Like, sure, it's going to tell me the time. And great, I'm going to get my push notifications, which is huge. And yes, I can make wrist phone calls, which is mine.
I want that animated Mickey face.
And I want the Mickey watch. And it's like, that's cool. This is great, right? But it has to look cool. Like, it has to look cool. Or I don't need it. Yeah. Like, I don't need it.
I've been wearing... Now, just out of curiosity, does anybody here, other than me, use a smartwatch currently? Does anybody have one?
No.
So I've been using the Fitbit Flex for quite a while, and I actually just transitioned over to the Fitbit Charge HR. That has a watch on it, and I get a notification when someone phones me.
Okay,
so not really super smart watch versus more of a fitness tracker.
Cool. Jesse, Dave, Steve, any of you guys?
I haven't worn a watch in probably 20 years.
Good Lord, look at how white those arms are.
Yep.
Jeez. I have this thing about I don't like jewelry on my hands. I don't want ears pierced. I know guys do that. It's not a thing I'm going to do ever. But like I like things around my neck and I like things on my wrists.
Cool.
And I just wanted a fancy watch. And I've been just like, smartwatches are coming. These are awesome. Apple's going to make one of these and it's going to be awesome. And I was holding off until now. And then like the other day, I'm just like at the store, like maybe I should just buy a dumb watch because I just want something on my wrist.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted the chain, the little metal band, the wrist, the one that's like metal and goes around with like the links, right? Okay, so
I think that's the one I wanted.
That was the one I wanted, right?
It's a $700 watch.
Okay, yeah. So it's $699 to get that watch. Okay, but because you have to get the metal one. Now you can go in there and you can buy the band by itself, right?
But that thing, the bands they're like, wow, they're
Ready?
expensive.
Ready for the band price for that one? $450 by itself. So you could go buy the $350
Sheesh.
the sport watch because I don't care which body it has because they're all gonna work the same, right? So just give me that and the cool band, but I'm still gonna spend $800.
Yeah.
So I was in the mall yesterday and I was like, let's go to this little watch stand and see how much a metal stainless steel band is. Okay? Because it's just metal. It's a piece of metal with chain links, right? It's
Despite the video.
right. Despite how Johnny Ive will tell
Despite
me
how
in his wonderful accent how amazing the links
It's
are.
the beautiful 5-carat gold.
That was 18 karat gold.
the
18-carat
aluminium.
Aluminum.
We take the tears of small children and we boil it down to the Apple Watch. It's revolutionary.
Magical.
We're talking like $50 max.
Yeah, and I wonder. I wonder. Like, I'm sure that there will be third-party bands that you can get that are considerably cheaper than the Apple.
But here's the thing: they're going to work like this stupid off third-party chargers that I plug in and tell me that this is not supported, or this accessory is not supported by the iPhone. Like something like that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like it
So
won't.
So what would have
I've
been a
been
reasonable
using,
price, Dave?
350 is the base, so I was expecting to spend about 450 to get my fancy band.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been using since last year. My wife, as a graduation present, bought me the Pebble Steel, and I've been using that basically since it came out. And I think that one right now is $200 that you can pick up, and I freaking love this one. I got the black one, and as far as like smartwatches go, I look at my Pebble Steel that I use now. It has notifications. You know, I can get cool watch faces and all that kind of stuff. The new Pebble SDK or whatever that's coming out will be released for my watch as well. And I look at the Apple Watch and I'm like, what is there like that is like, yes, it is more tightly integrated to, you know, the iPhone OS, and there is a lot of little things there, but is it really that much of a increased value? That, I mean, especially in Canada, you're looking at $100 in addition. So like the cheapest Apple Watch in Canada is $450. Which is insane. You know, like there is no way that thing is going to be like selling to I will not be buying one of those until the Canadian dollar is on par with the American dollar and we're paying American prices again.
Hundreds of thousands upon millions, if not millions, of these things will sell. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Because I have a friend who knows somebody's going to buy the $10,000 watch.
Oh.
Okay? And I don't know who they think they are, because we're getting another one next year. You know, people are on this, I'll wait for the next gen one, and that's dumb, because of course there's going to be another one, and yeah, it'll be updated, and maybe you should wait for it. But like, that's not an excuse to wait, because like I had an iPad 1, I had an iPad 1 like until the iPad 3 came out. You know, big deal. Who cares?
Yeah.
And the only reason I replaced that iPad is it got stolen. So
I think I'll be waiting for Gen 3 to come out, and then I'll track down an old Gen 1.
you know what? I'll tell you. I want on that Apple Watch that's not on it, that would sell it to me for my $5,000 or whatever the hell they want me to pay for it. Is if it had a FaceTime camera. My argument of it being too much money would go out the window if I could make video calls on my wrist.
Mm-hmm.
But until then,
I have a
can't
feeling
justify.
wireless may not be that quick yet, because it would require, because you not only have to pair the watch to the phone, but then you have to transmit it from the phone to wherever you're going, and then it's got to go back to the watch. So to go from video to video, to watch, you got 5 hops. There's going to be a lot of latency in that.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's the watch, right? Like we're looking at the watch.
If the watch has its own LTE chip, then maybe. but I don't think that's going to happen.
You want,
And
you want
I think that
you want the huge news that's the best news of this whole event is that HBO Now.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that, Dave. I think that is. I actually think there are 3 stories that are the big wins out of the Apple event that people aren't actually weighing in on, and here they are. First, it's the HBO deal with Apple. I think that is huge in that you don't need a subscription-based service to that. You are now moving to an area where you can more and more have the ability on an Apple platform to cut the cord.
I want to correct you a little bit here. It's still a subscription service, but you don't need to have a cable subscription.
Correct. Yeah, you still only pay $15. Go ahead, Dave.
We're paying the same thing for HBO for my mom to watch HBO on
Yeah.
the cable subscription. So let's throw that away, and then we're gonna get Sling TV. Okay, my mom's internet bill, which includes the cable, the house phone, because she answers that when I'm in the hospital. Not even, and that makes what is that $35 for Sling TV and HBO Now. So now you're spending $35. You add $16 for Netflix and Hulu Plus. So you have access to everything that you would get on cable because Sling TV fills the void of just like HGTV or whatever. Okay, my mom's internet phone bill, Cox bill, is $200 something a month.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know why she's paying it. I pay 60 something for the internet, and that's it. Just the internet. That's all I have in here. And then I mooch off her Hulu and what used to be her HBO Go, and that HBO announcement, I was like, this is it. And the Apple TV dropping to 70 is huge too, because the Apple TV, as much as it has slowed down and gotten buggier over the years, it is a great device. And I tell people, anybody who has an iPad, iPhone, iPod Touch, I'm like, you need one of these in your life. I know you don't understand it, but you need it.
Yeah, I have 2.
I would have one on every television if I could spend that kind of money.
Right. I have one in my living room and I have one in my office, and the goal I wanted to get one for my bedroom, and I was waiting for the Gen 4 to come out too, and then I would swap it so I have the newest in my office and then move the older one upstairs. So while we didn't get that, it's still the same technology as the Gen 3 that's now 2 years old, but it's price drop now. It's almost a third off. So yeah, I haven't bought it yet. So for $70, that's I'm still going to buy that third one.
Well, and I think the other thing that when it drops into a price like that, Roku's obviously making a little bit more of a splash in the market. Chromecast sticks are making more of a splash, right? I think this just drops its price down to being a little bit more in that competitive zone when people are walking into the Best Buy or whatever, and they have these devices that Apple's kind of at least. I think they're part of the conversation, but I think because of the price point, sometimes that they get pushed out of the conversation when you don't know your technology as well as perhaps you should. So I think this helps to bring them actually back into that area. I think it also shows that Apple is having conversations with television content providers to be put on onto their platform, right? And I think this is more and more trying to move to an area where potentially you can cut the cord and unbundle your package, and I think that's a huge opportunity. I think especially for you guys in the U.S., us in Canada, we have some challenges because things aren't quite available here.
Yeah, we don't even have Apple Pay here yet, do we?
No, we don't, and we don't have Hulu unless you're going through the illegal way of getting it. So for us, we're still hosed, but for you guys, it's great.
Yeah, we have 6 iPhones and 4 iPads in this house, so everyone, at least once a week, someone's like, "Hey, you got to watch this video," and then boop, it's on AirPlay.
Right.
On a big TV.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just as an AirPlay box in general, like Netflix.
No, I was selling the Apple TV to my friends before we had Netflix and stuff. Like AirPlay. AirPlay is all it needs to have.
Yeah. Go ahead.
AirPlay has gotten buggy though, and I don't know if I'm the only one experiencing this, but it is definitely slower than it used to be. Ever since they updated the Apple TV to the new icon layout that is different, AirPlay has been hit or miss.
Had problems with that. Oh, I also have 2 MacBook Airs with my kids from having school-issued laptops, so we have all these devices that can use AirPlay.
I use my MacBook Pro with the HDMI directly into the computer, into the television now because it works better. But solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just kind of moving on from that too. Like, I think Hulu's a great one. Another one that I think is really interesting that is kind of getting a little bit of talk is that research kit that they were talking about, the medical research.
That was my second point.
I was reading some stuff today, and I think that they're on the right track here, but there are some what I would suspect are things that they're unanticipated hiccups and speed bumps that they're going to have to find along the or address along the way that they didn't really talk about within that conference. You know, being somebody who's been involved in research before, you know, I never was involved in human research, but I have a master's in neuroscience. Surprise, I guess, for people who don't know me or whatever are familiar.
Yeah, I figured that you would get a kick out of talking about that. I almost fell asleep through it. It would bore the hell out of me.
It's really interesting to see the potential, but a lot of researchers are really concerned with some of the ethics involved in building this sort of thing straight into the phone.
I don't feel I might have been the only one who feels this way, but I felt like health data. I'm obviously doing a podcast and being on the internet. I don't have a problem with people knowing who I am, how to contact me. Like I did YouTube video blogs for an entire year every single day before I did a podcast. And I mean, like, for a year, I told the internet who I was, like, filmed everything, you know? And I don't want anybody seeing my health data.
Well, and I think that the important thing to keep in mind is that first of all, this is absolutely an opt-in sort of scenario.
Oh, absolutely. And
right?
if it weren't, I'd be like,
yeah.
I'm turning my iPhone off forever.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, so offering, and I think there are already services that kind of do this, but the fact that Apple is kind of providing tools and kind of, you know, maybe shepherding along some of the ability of the platform to be able to, you know, be more useful in research, I think that's great. But as far as, like, from an ethics perspective, it's one thing to just have a secure protection of your data, like your health data or whatever. It's another thing entirely to be able to properly inform people who are part of your scientific study of how that information is going to be used, and you know, are you a minor? Are you able to, you know, like, how is this data going to be used? How are you presenting yourself and that data? Currently, looking at some of the SDK and some of the things that are going on, there were people who were saying, oh yeah, you can just go in and change your age whenever you want, or you can, you know, there's a lot of ways to kind of, that could potentially screw up your data pretty significantly.
Right, so all their data is not inaccurate, and it becomes what Wikipedia used to be considered 6 years ago. Is completely inaccurate data that they have tons of, but we can't prove that any of it's true.
Yeah, and so I feel like most of it, though, basically what we're going to see is, you know, probably just like a toolkit of particular protocols or you know, little widgets or whatever that people can use within an app. Maybe some special APIs that tie into HealthKit if you allow it to, you know, so that you can tie into the health data and stuff like that would give you more control. But I mean, even from a neuroscience or a psychology perspective as well, you know, there are already apps out there where people can, you know, you sign up for this app and you're part of this study, and they will give you a notification on your phone, and you'll quickly do a survey or whatever, right? Or like regular intervals. And so I think long term, I think it's great. They definitely have some things they're going to need to iron out that they may not have been aware of initially, or they just haven't addressed yet. But I think long term, the possibility that, you know, something is that deeply integrated into the phone that has that potential for good, for positive change, you know, for our ability to collect reliable data, once all the kinks are ironed out within it, obviously, to be able to have access to an informed, reliable data pool of people is amazing. And I think that there could be a lot of really great things that come from it. I think it's just very, very early on right now. So yeah, I don't know. Anybody else have any takes on that one?
Nothing that kind of expands on what you said, Zach, but I think that was the number 2 for my hits of that was a huge announcement for them, I think. And
the fact that it's open source from Apple is, again, kind of showing.
Yeah, no, that's open source at the end. I was like, okay, and
that's
that
big
alone,
for Apple. Apple's very closed in general.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
it may be open source, but also written in Swift. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
no. But
Which
yeah,
I still haven't figured that language out. I still have to try to learn it.
yeah. But anyway, what was the third one that you were gonna bring up, Justin?
The third one that I thought would bring up is in the new MacBook Pro, MacBook Pro Air, moving to USB-C. That's the.
Now, is it something they make it sound like it? Sorry, I'm like really embracing the relax after dark. I'm eating a cookie.
Nom, 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 nom.
I was tweeting. Okay, like the
Then now, is this the first time now they're making it sound like this is a open standard, like it's USB-C. It's not an Apple sort of
That's
proprietary.
what they're saying, except for that they're just the first ones to use it.
well, they also say Thunderbolt is open to people, right?
Yeah,
But
Like-
if the monitor's $1,000, no one's going to buy that unless they're the hardcore users. So no one will make any other devices besides Apple.
Here's my opinion on USB-C, and this is because this comes from us, because we're podcasters, guys. We have an interface plugged in right now, and like tons of microphone cables and things that like. Sure, my iMac looked really pretty before I plugged anything into it, and I would love to be cordless. I'd love to have just this wireless keyboard and mouse in front of me, but like for what we do and real hardcore computer users, as much as that sounds like a negative thing, we need those ports.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We-
and I think this is aimed at. I don't think this is. I don't think the MacBook Pro is going anywhere. I think the current MacBook Pro with Retina display is probably what they're going to continue
I don't-
with.
Yeah, this is just a middle line, not Pro,
I don't wanna-
not
I don't-
Air.
I don't want to explain the lack of a flash drive to a person who doesn't understand this stuff, though. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
like I've taken the radio class at our college like 1,000 times just to get better at this. Like basically, it's just an independent study, but like I'll also hang out in there like help the guys who are taking this class for the first time, and it's like explaining them to like how Pages works in the cloud or like Google Drive. They're like, I don't understand, and like Steve knows who I'm talking about. I don't understand. The problem is I don't even want to start to explain that you don't actually plug a mouse into this computer.
Yeah, you don't plug. You
You
literally
don't plug anything into this
unless you have the $80 dongle,
right, because
Which I'm assuming will be $100 in Canada, Justin. Right? Like,
Jerks.
I don't know.
You know what?
I
if
don't-
they're reasonable, they're going to be $30 a piece because that's
You know
the
what,
normal Apple price.
the baseline for this new MacBook, by the way, and it's not like things are infinitely, like we have like such higher income that we can afford all this. Like I think income is pretty much across the board pretty similar between Canada and the U.S. But the baseline new MacBook is $1,500. So so that's pretty redonkulous. But
that's Canada, right?
yeah,
Okay, because I think it's $1,300 US, which is still ridiculous.
yeah, I think it was actually $1,550.
As much as the MacBook Air doesn't have a Retina display, I'm still going to recommend the MacBook Air to everybody who wants a Mac.
yeah,
as their entry level.
I'm looking at a new Mac right now, and I'm really leaning towards the 13-inch MacBook Air currently. But
Do you want to do real work on it, or do you just want it as like your play computer?
that'll be like a school computer probably.
Then
Yeah, it's
that-
$1,549 for this MacBook, for the new MacBook.
right. So
I have a Mac Mini
I have,
for my Mac.
I have a 13-inch Air that literally just runs soundboard for our show when we're in the studio. That's all it does. That's its main purpose. But I like use it for iMessage and laying in bed and stuff. I love that 13-inch MacBook Air. It's a great computer. I have a 15-inch Retina MacBook Pro too that I use for like real work, like editing the show. And then like right now I'm on my iMac, but my iMac's from like 2011 or something.
Yeah,
So-
this MacBook Pro, I currently edit on a MacBook Pro it's a 2011 MacBook Pro, and that's what I use for Audacity and stuff like that.
Right.
So, but yeah, my guess is that that's going to be pretty similar to a MacBook Air, like as far as specs go. It's not like I'm doing video editing or anything like that on it. So, But yeah, these new MacBooks, I don't know. I kind of feel like the port issue aside, and even my setup that I have right now, I literally could probably use this computer to run the way that I have my mixer set up and everything. I could run my current podcasting setup with this laptop.
Oh, I could run this podcast setup on that MacBook Air. I just prefer not to do that. Like,
yeah. Anyway.
I don't know if I misunderstood or not, but I read an article about it, and I think they said the adapters to let you plug a USB device in or HDMI out or VGA out or whatever will also have another USB-C device on it, so you may be able to chain.
Oh, that would be cool.
If they were smart, that was what they should do. But
yeah, I think so. Because that also doubles as the power, the charging port, right?
Right.
Knowing Apple, it'll only charge with that port. You can't chain it. Oh.
Oh, so if you were to plug in like a USB and charge at the same time, yeah, I don't know how that works, but
because you need to be able to do that.
Yeah, because right now I think the only dongle extension or whatever, which is such a stupid word, dongle, is the only one I've seen is one that has a USB-C on it, I think it's VGA, as well. I don't know. Maybe it was a display port.
See, we can kill a VGA. We can kill mini display. If Thunderbolt didn't kick off the way I think they wanted it to, I'd love a Thunderbolt mixer if somebody wants to give that to me. Hint, hint, internet. But the problem is we still need USB jacks for sure, no matter what. We need USB 3
USB jack is the problem, I think, on that thing.
I mean that's
USB
like
port, that's all you.
The people who is this after dark? Can I swear now? The people who complain about the iPad, most of the people complain about the iPad is there's no USB port on it. And it's like, okay, well, the iPad is a really specific device and doesn't need it, is my argument. But like, a laptop needs it. You know, there's.
And then Apple decided to accommodate them and create the PowerPort USB in adapter.
Oh,
because I actually have it because I used to do podcasting solely from my iPad, and I have a USB mic that I would plug into it.
This mic that's sitting right here on the desk that you can't see is a USB/XLR microphone. These are actually awesome. But the iPad will power it off that dongle. And and I could do things with this mic and the iPad to do interviews and stuff, which I did when I was learning radio, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And
okay, so yeah, I'm looking at this port just on Apple's website. It says USB-C will support for charging, USB 3.1 Gen 1 up to 5 gigabits per second, native display port 1.2 video output. And all of those things, it does not say sold separately. So I don't know if maybe this thing does actually come with an adapter. They didn't say that.
It should come with every dongle in the box.
It should come with an adapter. You're totally right. And then it also says VGA output -C, VGA multi-port adapter, or HDMI out. So
the multi-port adapter is the one that I saw.
Next 3 years, every dongle should be included in that box for 3 years.
I think
and then we're ready to kill it. And then we understand that we don't actually need that port. When they killed the CD drive, I was like, they're right. I don't use the CD drive. Like I haven't put a disc in there forever. The last thing I used my disk drive for was almost and literally actually accidentally putting an SD card in to the CD drive on the side of my iMac because they're right next to each other, and having to go to the Apple store and have them take that big suction cup tool and pull the screen off just to get an SD card out of my disk drive. Okay, and I was just like, yeah, you're right. I don't need that. I don't need a disc. I don't need a CD drive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The thing I'm worried about that device, excuse me, is the fact that they don't have a fan anymore.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I'm like, ooh, that's gonna get hot.
In normal process, in its intended use, should be fine. And I'm sure the fact that it's one piece aluminum case will probably help disperse the heat. But you got some people that are just going to want to play games on it, and they're going to beat the crap out of that thing, and that thing's going to get hot.
Yeah.
I think running a,
like,
editing a podcast or rendering anything in any video editing software is going to heat that thing up like no other. And I'm like, okay, how do we cool it down? Like, how? Because there's still got to be something. I'm all for it not making sound. I think that is the future at some point. But, like, I don't believe that computer can do anything safely.
Yeah. Basically, this is the first one that really is it's a MacBook, like it is hardware wise, it's a MacBook. But as far as the actual, like, under the hood, it's kind of like an iPad, right? Like, it doesn't run the same operating system, but as far as the actual hardware under the hood, it kind of is like an iPad, right? Like, as far as, like, it's all flash based, it's all, the similar sort of thing.
Okay.
What would be the difference then, right? I think that's kind of what it's.
Has anybody else ever had their iPad get warm? Because it has had.
Oh yeah.
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 Welcome to Meltgate, guys, because I guarantee you when you put OS 10 on a computer, we can push that processor 3 times harder than it's intended to be.
Well, and I mean, like,
like somebody's going to melt the bottom of their MacBook.
Well, I mean, that's probably part of the reason why they're like, oh, well, we've created this all metal enclosure. It's like, yeah, well, it's because you made a plastic one and it freaking melted the hinge. You know what I mean? Like,
we created sheets of ice that we put right in the Apple TV or right in the MacBook.
Yeah.
It's revolutionary.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
It's magical.
Yes. So I don't
is
know.
anyone else sick as heck of everything being in gold now?
No.
I want
that's
that black one, though, I'll tell you. The space gray MacBook. If I could pick one, I want that one.
Cool. Yeah.
Well,
That's great. And you know what? After saying everything that I've said, I'm looking around at, like, I'm looking at buying a new laptop as I go back to school in the fall, and I'm like, this isn't totally off the table quite yet. So, Justin, they both have gold phones. So,
you chumps.
And I have 2 gold phones. So I forgot about my work phone, so I have 7 iPhones in my house.
Yeah.
My fiance's phone was gold. She wanted it so bad, and I think the only reason anybody wants it so bad is because we didn't have it before.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I think it does look kind of cool.
No, I think it does too, and I think the fact that, like, it looks silver at, like, a first glance is really nice because it's not like shiny gold. Like, you're not going to notice it right away, and I really hope the watch looks like that, but I don't think it will.
No, that's pure 18 karat. That's going to be bling bling.
Bling bling.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt your eyes to look at that thing.
Can I get a gold money necklace with it for free?
You were
get a face like
I'm going to tell you this right now, David. If you could afford that watch, you already have that necklace.
Does it have the word bling just on it in letters, or on the chain?
Yeah, just get a watch face that looks like that, and it'd be awesome. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Going back, I think overall, I think what the biggest takeaway, just to kind of sum all of this up, is that this event in particular kind of is showing this, ever since Apple acquired Beats, you look at Beats Audio and they're like, oh, well, what the heck they want this headphone company for? And what they really were acquiring was a company who is really, really good at making people buy a $200 pair of headphones. It's really just an overheat.
That don't sound good.
Yeah, exactly. Like really selling to the high end market, and creating their sort of a luxury item. And you look at the watch, you look at this new laptop, and I think they're really aiming. Again, where before we've seen them have their sort of price points all the way from the iPod Shuffle all the way up to the big high-end iMacs and stuff like that. And I feel like they're saying, okay, well, let's move a little bit more expensive. Let's get to more premium items and things like that. That's what this felt like. And to me, that makes me worry that, like, oh yeah, but, like, let's not, like, Apple products are already more expensive than they probably need to be, and the idea that they're potentially just going to get worse and worse is kind of a scary thought for me, I guess.
All I wanted was a metal watch with a fancy band that read my text messages and looked cool. Okay?
Mhm.
That...
You know what? Hey, Pebble Steel, dude. I'm not even kidding.
You know
Pebble
what?
Steel.
You might have convinced me because I really wanted a cool watch, and if I can get a Pebble for like $200, that's... The reality is I wanted the Apple Watch to start at $200 and then like go to $400 max.
Yeah.
And that's what
And
I mean, sure, the 18 karat gold could have been 10,000. I don't care. I'm not getting that one. But like the metal one, it's just metal, guys. It doesn't.
And I mean, Pebble right now
it doesn't do anything else.
Pebble still has their Kickstarter going on right now. They have a metal option available. Then the new Pebble is color. So I mean, yes, the screen is totally different. It's e-paper. You know, it is totally different. But I've used mine, and I really enjoy it. It's still been really great. So.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I think
Anyway.
that's kind of a good area to kind of round out our discussion for the Apple event, so we don't go too long on our episodes as well.
Well, I,
2:04 in the morning, guys.
Yeah, 204.
I wanted to throw in one more thing.
Sure,
The
Jess.
last time I wore a watch, that thing never came off. I slept in it, I showered in it, and that's how I wore it. I'm not sure I like the idea of having to take it off to charge it every night.
See, and you know what? That is actually the thing for me, having done it for a while. That is definitely something that taking it off and charging it. This happened to me just the other day where I was like in my office at work and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to run down the hall and talk to somebody and just leave my phone to charge. Whatever, if I get a text or a notification on my phone, it won't be a big deal because it's paired. Which, by the way, is another thing, is having your phone paired to your watch 24/7 does decrease battery life. Just saying. All you
Apple says 18 hours. I don't believe them for a second.
Is that, yeah, I mean, your watch might last that long, but your phone's probably going to be dead halfway through the day.
My phone is usually dead at about 2 in the afternoon, and I leave my
Right.
house. I leave my house at about 7. You know.
Yeah, like they're not telling you how long your phone's going to last. But I just realized, like, oh, crap, I forgot to put my watch back on this morning. It's just something that happens because you have to charge your watch every night. But it's up.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was it. Go ahead.
Another problem is that they say water resistant, not waterproof.
That's kind of normal.
Okay. So let's talk normal. Like, I don't work in a fancy job and have an office job as much as I'd love to, right? I wash like dishes sometimes and stuff. Like, does that mean I have to take my watch off at work to wash?
Even
my
water
job?
is-
You can shower with it. They've specifically, Tim Cook, not at the event, but he has said that you can shower with it on.
Okay, good, because that's all I need to be. I don't want to dive into a pool with it, but like I want to take.
Even
a shower
when they say
and
water
take it.
resistant, you can dive 50 feet down and it'll be fine. It's not meant for
Right.
deep
Yes,
diving.
that also the sort of like Timex deal, right? Where it's like those old Timex watches where it was within like 30 meters or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
I still want my iPhone to be waterproof so I can jump into a pool and take slow motion video, but I'm never gonna be able to do that without a LifeProof case. And even then, I'm like, I don't really want to put my hands.
That's
in the
putting a lot of
LifeProof.
that's putting a lot of faith
Yeah,
in a
in a
device.
case. Right.
and not only that, but it's like, okay, guys, like if you can do that with with your watch, then what's the holdup with the phone? But anyways, well, right on, guys. Thanks for sticking around for this little bit of an in-depth look at the Apple event. Justin, any final thoughts?
No, I think it was interesting, and we'll probably be doing more of these episodes. We kind of talked to the Character Crunch crew here, and we're going to try and do some episodes together when we see some other movies and other things that kind of pique our pop culture interest come into it as well. And Steve was here actually during the entire session, but just kind of I think might have fallen asleep.
I don't think Steve watched the Apple event.
No, I did not, because that stuff is too rich for me.
He didn't want to be disappointed. I hope we can do this again, guys. Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
right on.
this is awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming on.
I'll stay up again until 2 in the morning.
Well, all right. Let's have a good one, guys.
See you later, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. There we go. I just stopped the recording. So.
Did you?